We're going to export our video. We're going to export our movie using, instead of just rendering it directly out of Adobe After Effects, we're going to use the Adobe Media Encoder. Okay, so I have edited my movie. This is exactly the way I want it. So now I'm going to come up to Composition, and instead of Add to Render Queue, which is what we did just a moment ago, we're going to add it to the Adobe Media Encoder queue. And so we do that, and it's going to churn around in the background, do some stuff. If you don't have Adobe Media Encoder open, it should open up automatically. And remember, it is a completely separate program, but it is tied in, like there's a little there's like a shortcut. And let's talk for a moment about what Media Encoder does. Basically, Media Encoder will take whatever video information that you give it, and then it will convert it to whatever profile or whatever file type you need. So it can convert it for broadcast, it can convert it for social media, it can do it for, as we're going to see in a moment, it can do it for Twitter, it can do it for Instagram, YouTube, whatever. And then there are presets or things that you can use for that, where you tell it exactly what you want it to do, but also you can still go in and you can edit and adjust each of those. So it's pretty cool. So here's my Media Encoder. I guess just due to the funkiness of my computer, I'm going to have to resend it to the Adobe Media Encoder queue. That's going to churn in the background. Now, depending on the operating system you're working on, your windows might look different. The arrangement might be different, but basically what you've got are 4 separate windows in here that are together. This is your default workspace. Over here is your media browser. So let's just say, for example, if you had already a digital video file on your desktop or a digital video file in a folder, you could navigate to that folder and then load it in to your queue, into the area you're going to make the video from. So this is where you would browse, and you'll see that I'm adjusting the size of these windows because I'm not going to be browsing. And these are your presets. Now mine are all open because I was just experimenting through with them. And we'll take a look at these here for a second. Oh, it did automatically pop it in. So it automatically popped in my my files. I'll talk about that in a second. So here are your presets. So for example, if you had a video file and you only wanted the audio, if you wanted the audio extracted out of your video file, you could use one of these audio only presets. If you were going to send it to broadcast TV, there's your Apple ProRes, your all that stuff. If you wanted to send it to another camera, movies, devices, like different mobile devices in here, so you're going to get your 3G, PP, and all that stuff. If you were going to send it to a DVD burner, and you wanted to burn it, or Blu-ray, yeah, I know. Also, you've got other in here, which is those codecs that we looked at a second ago. But what we're going to look at right now is we're going to look at the web video, because we're going to try to shrink the size of this file, yet keep it fairly high quality. So I'm going to look under web video, and I'm going to look under social media. And so social media, we've got Facebook videos, Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube. And I'm going to go ahead and pick YouTube, but I'm going to pick YouTube 480, which is going to be 640 by 480. Now, let me show you something over here. So this is where we pick the style that we want. And over here, this window is actually our queue. So you'll remember that I said send to my Adobe Media Encoder queue. This is where it sent it. So I've got both of these in here because I sent it twice. I can delete this. I don't need the second one. So yes, I want to delete it. I just selected it, hit the delete key. So it's telling you that it's from After Effects, and use this PSD for After Effects 2 is the name of the document. And that is the format that it is in now. That's the output file that I have chosen the last time I did it. So let's try a couple of different things. Here is, let's do YouTube 480 widescreen, right? So I can click on whatever output setting I want and drag and drop it onto my video file. And now it is set to give me a YouTube 480p widescreen. Again, I'm gonna change it just so you see what it was. And I'm gonna go back to the 480 640. So I'm just dragging and dropping it. That's all there is to it. And it's there and everything is ready to go. So this is my queue. That means it's just like, it's in line, it's ready to go. Now what we also can do is we can have a watched folder. So for example, if you know you're doing a batch of videos, you're doing like 10 different videos, but they're all gonna have to have the same setting. You can set up a folder on your desktop or on your computer or anywhere, and you can always send your work. You can just drop your video files into that folder, and as long as Adobe Media Encoder is open, you can set it to automatically change those as needed. So that's pretty cool if you're doing a lot. We're only doing one right now. So this is my queue, and all I have to do is press the play button because I've determined what file style I want it to be, what the output is going to be, and I'm going to play it. But actually, the last thing I probably want to do, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to figure out where the heck this thing is going to go. Like, where is this output file going to go? So I don't like that it's spinning around like that. That seems like a problem. So here we go. It's going to change. It's going to put it in here, and it's going to do it MP4, and I can change the name. Let's call this Media Cadet Test. Okay, so that's good. Now I know where it's going. I know what it's going to be called. Let's hit play. And when I hit play, down here is the final window that we have out of the 4, and that is our encoding window. And this just tells you what's going on. So it's telling you what the file name is going to be, where it's going to be, the format, the preset that we're using, and all this other stuff. No summary available yet. And eventually, fingers crossed, you should see something down here in the window. Now this is a pretty small file. It should go through relatively quick. Remaining. This one is small. I told you it should go fast once it gets moving. So there we go. And now I am going to open that file up. And it opened it into here. And here is the file. Now, this was the original file, the size of the original file out of After Effects. This is exactly what we sent as the QuickTime movie. This is smaller, obviously, because we scaled it down, but this is the file out of Adobe Media. Now, does anybody notice a big difference between the two? One has a black background, one has a white background, right? That's because when we edited it and saved it as a QuickTime movie, it inserted this white background layer. But the funny thing is, I don't really have a white background here in After Effects. My background is actually clear, which then they see it because I didn't make a background layer, and these are all pings that have no background. So when the media encoder saw it and adjusted the file, it saw there was no background, so it just put in black. And that's why they're the exact same file, but this one has a black background. So I probably should put a background in there unless I don't want a background at all, unless I do want that. So anyways, so there is that.